We sincerely apologize, but we've been delayed another 3 hours.
When we do get off the ground, please
So before we get in today, I wanted to know if there were any questions or anything that you've come up against this week that maybe you want to go over before I jump in today, which we're going to be talking about, like working through the clear to close process and requesting CDs. Can everybody hear me?
Yeah, I have a.
Yep.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you. Okay, so do we have any questions for at this point today before I start?
I have a quick question.
Okay,
Can you
yeah,
hear
I can
me?
hear you. Yep.
Oh, okay. So, are we going to go over self-employment income calculation at any time? I know it's kind of like way.
We can. I can put it on the agenda for Friday.
Okay. I have a borrower that I'm like trying to dig into her taxes. The problem is that she has a few different businesses and one of them is a tax business. So she's really good at showing that she only makes $15,000 a year. And I'm like, girl, I know you make a lot of money.
But
But
what are the things that they're writing off though? So what categories? And this may be something that you have to advise her on, that like you can write stuff off, but you know, long-term wise, if you know you're going to be getting a mortgage, where do you write that stuff off to where you still don't have to show the income for tax purposes, but we can show the income for mortgage? The Fannie Mae form is shit. So if you pull it off of the internet, like it's a nightmare.
So that's the form that I used, and one America was like, "Oh, you can't add back depreciation and all this," and I was like, "Well, it's on the Fannie Mae form. Why can't I add it back?" So they sent me like this whole list saying that it was wrong, and I don't know.
Okay, so couple of things. So we'll jump into this really quick. As far as I know, you can add depreciation back in. Now, that being said, you know, Fannie changes their guidelines every 3 months. Even more so now that we're inside of Corona, right? So they're making all these changes. But here are the two things that I use. So I actually use Remin or Homebridge. They have an income calc sheet.
Okay.
I used to use UWM's, like I would log into UWM site and use their income calculator, but like it's kind of gone wonky. So I haven't been doing that the last year and a half. Let me go into, I'm gonna in the notes just really quick. Oh, okay, hold on a second. Let me see if I can find it because I always forget that this pulls up. Give me 1 second. I'm going to try and attach an income calc sheet from, give me 1 second. Sorry to have you all stare at me like that. Give me just 1 second because what I'm going to actually do is load that income calc sheet into the let me just make sure this is it, into the chat bar really quick for everybody, and then we'll move on.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. So here, what I'm going to do actually is I'm going to post the link to it in my Google Drive, so that y'all don't have to worry about downloading it. You can just copy the link, and then I'm just changing the permissions on it really quick to make sure that anybody who clicks that link has access to it. Now, I use this for almost everything. Now, the other website that you can have access to is Uber Underwriter. I love it, but it is not free. So I did not end up making the subscription, but it is a lot of times what lenders will use to calculate their income for their companies.
Okay.
So let me figure out how to share this. Get a shareable link. Okay. Okay, if that doesn't work, somebody just pop on and let me know. It's got several tabs at the bottom so that you can calculate lots of different forms of income. I have been using this, relying on it the last 2 years, and I've never had issues with an underwriter coming back and telling me they don't calculate income the same way.
This is wonderful. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, so today we're going to dive into a little bit more. Once you're in the submission area, okay, you have an approval. Okay, and you've done this a couple times, okay, and this is your clear to close. Now in here, okay, so in between, it's kind of like in here, because once you get cleared underwriting, there's still some stuff that happens in here. So the first thing that I want to talk to you about is this little 2-letter word that's going to bite you in the ass inevitably somewhere. And you have to be able to know how to plan for it and how to explain it. And it normally happens right here. And it's called QC. My 2 least favorite letters in the damn alphabet when they're right next to each other. Okay, so what happens here, this is a quality control review. It happens before you're issued a clear to close, but after you've been cleared from underwriting. This is a behind the scenes thing. Okay, this happens at the lender, it's behind the scenes. I really hate the shadows on my face. Oh, and now we got this one. All right. So what happens is, and I want to explain this to you, because if you can't explain it to somebody, you can't explain it to your loan officer, you can't explain it to a real estate agent, you're going to take a ding to your reputation. Okay. So what happens after an underwriter clears all the conditions, which we're going to go over approval in a minute, but I want to get this out of the way because it's otherwise irrelevant in here. Before they can issue the CTC, there are some back-end compliance things that have to happen. Okay, they're gonna run through all the dates, they're gonna do a bunch of stuff. But what happens is, and I have learned this the hard way, is that there's this audit process that happens. This is a lot more prevalent. This becomes a frontline issue at Remen for me a lot. But it's because of our having more loans in our pipeline than we can handle. So we're constantly pushing, like, loans that should take us 21 days to process are taking 30 because we have such a big volume and we're just not pushing through them fast enough. And so we're running up against this, like, when we need to close. So I want to explain this to you so you all, and this happens at every lender. Okay. So there's an audit that happens here. Now this audit serves several different purposes, okay? It is an audit of the file. So it's an audit of the file and the underwriter, okay? Now, they're going to review this file, they're going to review the underwriting findings. More times than not, any findings that come out of QC are related to the underwriter. The underwriter needs to update something in the findings. I would say less than 50% of files that actually get audited, less than 50% of the time they come back to us and request something from a borrower. Okay, like I had one where the income calculation wasn't quite right, and they asked us for some additional documentation, but most of the time it's not that. So what happens is QC can happen for several reasons. It could be a new underwriter at a new bank. Now the number that I often hear is 10. Okay, so the first 10 files that an underwriter does at a lender are going to go through this QC audit. Okay, we have a lot of people jumping ship on retail right now. We have a lot of people trying to find jobs because QM is completely closed that are going to be probably new underwriters in this space. Okay, so you've got to start accounting for your files to go to a QC audit before you're issued a clear to close. This happens at UWM too. It's why it takes 2 hours, where they say like it'll take 2 hours on clear. You don't get a clear to close like that at UWM, okay? The other thing that happens is if an underwriter is trying to earn credentials, so let's say they're trying to get their DE sponsorship, meaning that they can underwrite government loans, FHA and VA, they have to have so many files audited and they have to pass audit before, and then those findings have to be, I mean, I don't really know the whole process, but like has to be submitted to HUD, and then HUD issues and reviews and whatever, and then they get their credentials, okay? So you have to know that this takes place everywhere. This is why they say to you, some files may be subject to audit. And then some of them are simply random. Like, you're not going to audit an underwriter that's been there for 5 years and assume they haven't been making any mistakes. Like, how many people have had a file that they've submitted to underwriting and the underwriter was wrong, right? Because we're all human and the guidelines change 3 times a year, okay? So even underwriters that aren't new, but if it's a new underwriter, their first 10 files are going through audit, okay? Or let's say somebody got hired on, they only write conventional, and now they need to underwrite the non-QM loans, or now they need to underwrite VA loans, right? When they start underwriting different types of files, their files are going to go through this QC audit. Okay, so if you see this on your approvals, that's what it means. And I didn't know, and I couldn't explain it to people, and real estate agents get real nasty when you talk to them about this, okay? And you just have to tell them it's a part of the compliance process before a clear to close is issued. Most of the times it's an audit of the underwriter, make sure that they've underwritten the file they've underwritten the file properly, and that the findings that are going to be sold to Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac or whatever type of loan you're doing are done complete and thorough. It doesn't normally take more than 24 hours. Okay, so any questions about this? Because I'm going to erase it and we're going to move on. Okay, now I'm going to share my screen. Let me just, I always do this. One time, you guys, I shared my screen and I had like an actual borrower's information up on Calyx. And so now I get a little gun shy when I'm sharing my screen because I just want to make sure that I don't like do that again. So give me just 1 second. Okay, great. Let me just scroll down here. Okay, so this is this is a much older approval that I'm going to screen share with you guys. Okay, so this is an approval that we have from Remen. Okay, at the top, it's always going to give you basically the bullet points of the loan. If you ever get a condition and let's say your debt to income drastically changed and you're not really sure what, a lot of times, most of these approvals are the same. Okay, now you have approvals are going to be different by lender. Okay, but the underwriter has reviewed the loan, they're giving you this sheet, and it's going to kind of go, oh, I hate when I do that. Most approvals go in order of importance. So if you are suspended, meaning your file was, and the way that I tell, so listen, don't be afraid to tell a client or a real estate agent that a file is suspended. Okay, don't do that. You have to say to them, hey guys, we got your file back. It actually was suspended pending further information. People are gonna go, oh! You're gonna go like, it's probably not a big deal. It just means that they need us to clarify a couple of things before they issue the full pre-approval or the full approval. Okay, so here are some things that I need. Be honest with them, okay? Too many times bit me in the ass. I thought it was something we could overcome, thought it was a mistake. It was a mistake on my part. So this is prior to underwriting clear conditions. So this would be prior to getting a clear to close. These are the conditions that I need to satisfy. The reason that I'm showing you this is because most of the time approvals will have a number next to them. So when you are getting your conditions, okay, you want to save your conditions in your folder. You want to save it with the number 2725. And then I don't remember what that was, but let's just say it was an asset statement. And it's this is April, so this is the March statement, okay? This is going to help you keep track of where you are on your approval sheet, okay? Plus, when the lender comes back and says, we couldn't find your condition, you can go in there and be like, yeah, no, see, I uploaded it. I actually labeled it with the number to match the condition, okay? And then you're gonna have some where they don't have numbers on them. They don't, like if I scroll up here, a bunch of these don't have numbers on them. I just put it, either I copied, put something like conditions prior to docs or prior to clear conditions, and I bulk them all up. Okay, but I also mark on my sheet, I take a highlighter in my PDF. Okay, I'm not gonna joke anybody. I print these suckers out still and I highlight them with an actual highlighter. My processor, on the other hand, is a millennial. She keeps these in her PDF and she highlights it within the PDF, but either way, okay? So what we do is once we've requested, if it's something we have to request, we highlight it in yellow. And then once we receive it, we go back in and we check it off with either a red line through it if she's digitally marking it off, or for me, I go over it with a darker highlighter, green or blue or purple, so that I know that I've received that, okay? And that's how we manage our conditions on approvals. Okay. Let's see, this is old. What you'll see a lot of times is either you'll see the date it was cleared, or it'll just completely remove itself from the condition sheet. Now, the other thing you have to check, if you're not doing this, you have to do this. When you get your clear to close, you have to check your prior to funding conditions. Because sometimes what will happen is an underwriter, especially right now while they're under the gun and they're trying to get files moved and out the door, they may put some stuff here and not specifically tell you, borrower to bring most recent pay stub closing, borrower to bring updated ID. Because you and I probably didn't notice the damn thing's gonna expire 2 days before closing, okay? You have to review your prior to funding conditions. You also want to try and clear any prior to funding conditions that aren't related to your signing before your clients get to signing, if it's possible. Okay, if it's possible to do that, you want to do that. If you've got a letter of explanation or a pay stub, sometimes it's not possible. Sometimes they're going to get a pay stub the day before closing or something like that, and we just need it because we need to satisfy the 30 days and their salary, and it's not really going to weigh into the income calculation or an updated bank statement or something like that. I'm using really bad examples because there's no fucking way an underwriter would put any of those as prior to funding. But the point being, check this. I've had stuff where it was hey, can we just have them bring that to closing? Maybe it's an amend for closing. Instead of having everybody sign the damn amend at closing, maybe you have them signed and you can get that cleared, okay? And then, so here's prior to funding, and then here's another section of prior to funding. But you just want to complete these as quickly as you can. Now, what you can also do in this process, right in here, before you are clear to close, is what's called an early CD. An early CD. The reason that it's called an early CD is because the file is not clear to close. So all the conditions have not been cleared to close yet, but you have satisfied all the conditions or all the components in order to release the CD. Okay, so what that means is, and we went through this, I think not last time, but the class before, is what are these? Okay. So we've talked about in the past, you know, if you're a loan originator and you're self-processing, or you're an advanced processor, we've talked a few times now about like getting the file into underwriting. Okay, so putting the laundry in the washing machine, let this wash, and then come over here and do the dishes. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you just have to go on YouTube and watch my other lesson. Okay, so you're gonna wash the dishes over here by putting your request for title. Woo, woo-hoo-hoo. Okay. Request for title and request for insurance out into the world. Okay, when we get those in, we get that approval back that I just showed you, and we want to send this back to underwriting. We wanted to have our conditions and our title and insurance. Okay, we would have also ordered the appraisal. We're trying to get all of these done. Hopefully your loan officer or you as the loan officer, by the time you're submitting conditions, you've got the loan locked, which this includes, can you see that? Yeah, includes the rate and the program. Okay. Okay, so, okay, you cannot send a closing disclosure out on a suspended file. I'm not gonna lie and tell you that I haven't had a file that was suspended damn well near till the last underwrite. I have. Some files are tricky, okay? But you can have all of this, all of these items, which I'll break it down in just a second. You have all these items in your file and cleared. If your file isn't in an approved status, you can't send a CD out, okay? So what you wanna try and do while you're working conditions, okay, while you're working conditions, and let's say you're waiting on a pay stub till Friday, today's Wednesday, you're waiting for a pay stub from the borrower on Friday because of the new COVID and you have to have the most recent pay stub, get the file in, okay? Submit it without the pay stub because you need these items cleared so that you can issue an early CD. Does that make sense? So
Yes.
once initial approval happens, we can issue an early CD. Yes and no. The other items that you have to have cleared to issue an ECD is the title work has to be cleared, the insurance, basically the premium. So a lot of times you can do you can submit the insurance and maybe the mortgagee isn't correct or something, but basically they're looking for the premium. Okay, same here, the title and the premium. The appraised value. So if you have an appraisal waiver, that's just cleared right away. And the loan has to be locked. Meaning that the rate and the program, okay? If the loan is approved with conditions, the title work has been cleared, the insurance premium has been cleared, the appraisal has been cleared, and the loan is locked, you can issue an early CD, which is issuing the CD before the loan is clear to close. So when UWM does an initial approval, that's when an early CD goes out. No, unless when you submitted your file, you had all of these things in here and those were all cleared on your initial underwrite, then yeah. So let's do this really quick. Give me 1 second because I just need to make sure I don't have any naughty information up here that you guys can't see. And not like website stuff, it's borrower stuff. Okay, so, I wonder if he took out my test file. Give me 1 second. Look for my. Okay, here we go. Let me share my screen really quick. Okay, so here's my loan in UWM. Okay, I'm going to go down to closing disclosure and CD progress. Now, this is just in UWM system, and I'll talk about how different lenders do this differently, okay? But in order for the CD to go out, me as the partner, I have to make sure all of these line items are triggered green. Okay, so you can click on it, you can go in and fill in the title information, okay? These are all of the items. But what you actually see in the progress bar is for UWM, the loan must be approved with conditions. The appraisal for the loan has to be cleared by underwriting. The taxes have to be finalized, the property tax, oh, that's what I forgot up there. Property taxes, the annual premium for property insurance, and the taxes usually is like the whole title work, premium, and taxes have to be in there. And then you have to wait, like if you lock it today, that locked loan estimate has to go out today, and then tomorrow a CD can go out. Okay, that's why that is on our list of things that have to be completed before you can issue the CD. Okay, so as a processor or somebody that is self-processing their own loans as an originator, or if you're an originator-processor combo, when you're trying to put the file together and deciding, like, don't necessarily hold your file for something that you know you're not getting 2 days from now or next week, or somebody's getting a loan from their 401k and we don't have all the documents and they haven't deposited. Don't wait for that. Get the file back in and get these items into underwriting and cleared so that you can get this CD out. Okay, now there's lots of ways to do this. UWM is one of the very few places where you can issue the CD yourself once it's cleared all of the milestones in order to issue it. Okay, every lender does this different. It's your job as a processor to know. For example, 11 Mortgage, you have to go on their website and you have to fill out a form on their website and request that the CD be done. If they're running 2 days to issue a CD from the day you request it, you've got to know that, because you might miss a closing because you didn't know. Hold on, let me check my Wi-Fi connection. Somebody said my audio is choppy. Okay, I put a new microphone on, so let me know if that doesn't get any better. Okay, so if you don't know that if you don't know how the CD process works, you need to call your account executive and you need to say, hey, I'm still fairly new at issuing a CD in your system. Don't say you're new at issuing a CD. Kind of doesn't matter. I am working with Flagstar for the first time. I've been doing mortgages for 13 years. I've been issuing CDs since trade became effective in October of 2015. Okay, but I don't know the process in Flagstar. So it doesn't matter that I have 5 years of experience issuing CDs, or 2018, whenever TRID was, who cares? Whenever TRID was inactivated or was activated, right? It doesn't matter that I've been doing it for 3 years. I have zero idea how to do. I mean, I probably have a little bit of idea because I understand what a CD is. Okay, but I don't know how to do it in their system. Okay, so when you're putting that initial request for title work out into the world, and when they send it back, you want title's prelim CD. And this is just short for preliminary. Okay, preliminary CD. Now, a more advanced thing that you need to be aware of is if you are dealing with a property that is attached. So attached properties have HOAs that govern shared property. HOAs have the ability to lien a property. So if a homeowner doesn't pay their HOA dues, the HOA can place a lien on the property. Because they have the ability to lien the property, there is an additional layer of clearance on the title work that needs to occur, okay? So what that means is, and we talked about this a few sessions ago, is that title work is the intermediary that makes sure the buyer performs and makes sure the seller performs, okay? And they hold all the money and the keys, and they give those things out once everybody has completed their side of the transaction. So if you have a file that has an HOA, I'm gonna almost blanket statement this, the HOA is because the properties are attached. You have to, what's not gonna be on this preliminary CD is gonna be what's called a status letter. A questionnaire, if it's needed. Oh my God, I just was gonna write it and now I'm gonna forget. A working capital. And I'm just gonna call this reserves. It's not the right terminology, but I'm gonna explain it in a second. Okay. So what is a status letter? A status letter is from the HOA advising the title company if the seller is in good standing on their HOA dues. Because if they are not, whatever deficiency the seller has to be, title has to make sure that they collect whatever is deficient and pay it to the HOA from the seller's proceeds and make sure that the seller's account is clean before the property transfers to the buyer. Okay, this status letter, so I'm talking about what I see in Colorado, is anywhere between $150 and $250. Okay, so this isn't going to be on the prelim CD because when we order the preliminary title work on day 2, title hasn't ordered this yet. So if you know this is a townhome or a condo specifically, or any sort of other shared property community, you need to include this on your loan estimate. And until you know what this is from title, you include it on the CD that goes to the buyer. Okay, a condo questionnaire. When a property is used as collateral, if you don't know what collateral is, shoot me a note in the, for fuck's sake, shoot me a note in the messenger. The questionnaire, because not only does the specific unit that's being financed have to be approved, but the complex and the HOA as a whole has to be approved. Because a bank doesn't want to take collateral for a property where the HOA isn't handling the finances properly to ensure that the property stays in good condition. Okay, the questionnaire ranges anywhere between $100 and I've seen these as high as $250. Working capital, this is like a deposit that goes into the reserve account for the HOA. So what we usually quote is 2 months of whatever the HOA is. 2 months of HOA. Okay, and reserves, this actually is not the right word. That would probably be more working capital. Basically, when you close, so let's say we're doing a transaction right now, we're closing in April, the borrower is not going to have a first payment due until June. Okay, so the HOA wants us to collect the May and usually the June payment. Because what happens is a lot of borrowers don't pay this because for some reason they think that we've either collected it or it's a part of their mortgage payment. And so just as a whole over the years of so many borrowers not making the HOA payment because they didn't have a mortgage payment and then automatically were in a deficiency and automatically got put into a pre-lien status by the time they made their first mortgage payment. We, as an industry, HOAs and HOA management and property managing companies have said, hey, at closing, we want to cover, we want to collect the first 2 months of HOA that's due, okay? Now what you see is, I mean, we just raised the closing costs by almost $1,000, okay? This status letter is negotiated most of the time in the contract on who's paying it, buyer or seller. We always disclose it as the buyer. And here's the thing, I would rather tell my borrower they need all of this money and then have the invoices come in low, or say they only need 1 month, and be like, hey, I know I quoted you about $1,000 in fees on the HOA. We got all the invoices in and it actually looks like it's about 600, right? I would rather tell them they need less money to close than be like, oops, undershot that, you're gonna need an extra 400 bucks, okay? So these are gonna be the things, these are gonna be some of the stuff that isn't gonna be on your preliminary CD from title that you just need to keep in mind depending on the type of property that you're working with. Okay, so that being said.
And do we have to tell title to order that?
No.
We have to send a separate request, they just know, okay.
Because the HOA has the ability to lien, it's title's job to make sure that the title work is clear from the seller to the buyer. When I took my NMLS test back in 2014, I didn't know what an encumbrance was. A lien would be an encumbrance. A lien is anything that makes the title work cloudy or would prevent the buyer having clean title work, okay? So because the HOA has the ability to lien and it transfers from seller to buyer, it's the title's job to make sure that it transfers cleanly. So that's a part of their process.
Okay, we just need to make sure that it's included. We put it in KLIX or whatever
Correct.
as fees, and that would be where you break down underneath title. Because didn't we discuss that sometimes you just do a total title work amount?
That's a good question. Okay, so what Jamie's talking about is everybody okay if I erase this? If you're not okay with it, shoot me a text in the message screen really quick. Otherwise, just take a quick screenshot. Okay. So there's a couple things that Jamie's talking about. Now, in box B of the loan estimate, which also happens to be box B of the CD, this is where you're going to have services. Oh, wait, hold on a second. Let me just, I don't want to misspeak here. I just want to double check myself. Please hold. Now, if you've been with me for a little bit, you know that I'm going to talk about compliance, but I'm not teaching you compliance because I don't know everybody's state. Okay, so, okay, it's not box B, it's box C. Okay. Box C. Services you can shop for. Now, this is where your title work is. Now, I used to be of the mind that this was complete BS, the buyer doesn't get to shop. That's not true. And I'm only going to speak for Colorado and New Mexico. In the contract, it is negotiated who is going to pay for title work. If the buyer is going to make the title company pay for the owner's extended title policy and some of the other fees, then the seller gets to choose who to shop for with. If the buyer says, no, I want to pick my own title company, then they have to pay for certain fees. So they do have the ability to shop for this, but it wasn't something that I understood when I first started, because I was like, that's such BS. The borrower doesn't get to shop this around. They do. It's negotiated in the contract. If they give up that right to shop for this service, that's neither here nor there for us, okay? But in box C, this is a 10% bucket, okay? So if you disclose that your closing fee is $450 and your lender's title policy is $900, you have a total box disclosure of $1,350. It really doesn't matter how this shakes out. Like if this is really $650 and this is $500, the box disclosure is still $1,150. You just, as a whole, in box C, you're held to the 10% tolerance. Okay, now here's the issue. If you don't pay the status letter is a title fee, okay? $250. Okay, so if we take this example here, we disclose that our closing fee was $450, and our lender's title policy was, what'd I say? 900. Okay, $1,350. Okay, 10% of that is $135. If you then have a status letter of $250 that you didn't disclose, you're out of tolerance.
Already, and it's not even, you haven't even charged for the questionnaire yet.
Correct. Okay, now you got a questionnaire. Even if you didn't have a status letter and you just had a questionnaire at 150, you're out of tolerance. So you're better off to disclose this. Now, the other items, the working capital and the May and June, these are essentially prepaids and they're not subject, they're not fees, okay? But I will tell you, like we've got a file right now where the HOA is $460, it's either $461 or $463. So if we didn't do this and we got 2 months here, that's $900. And we got 2 months here and that's $900.
Your audio has been really, really choppy and bad. We've got some chats in here too.
Close to the board is difficult. Okay.
Yeah, it looks like when you turn around, it gets difficult for us to hear you.
Okay. Let me have my audio technical guy. And I'll speak up a little bit while he plays with that. So we've got one right now that's $460 a month. That's better, whatever you just did there. And so if we don't disclose the working capital or the May-June payment, and we wait until we issue the closing disclosure and title's like, oh, well, you need to add the working capital and the May and June payment, we're gonna go back to this borrower and ask for $1,800 more. Okay, so what I was saying here is, let's go back through this because I do see the notes now about the audio. Okay, so box C is services you can shop for. This is going to be your title work. Oh no, this is like delaying really bad. Yeah, even the audio, even the motion.
Is yours on 5?
I'm on 5.
We'll switch to 2.4.
Do I need to restart the camera?
No.
Yes. Connection failed. Give me 1 second. Let me know when you're on the 2.4 on that one. Okay, we're gonna switch Wi-Fi channels and see if that's any better. Okay, so what I was saying is box C is services you can shop for, okay? This is where your title work fees are gonna be. This as a bucket has a 10% tolerance. Now, my video is lagging. Is that any better or no?
I don't, you're not lagging video
Okay.
on my side.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so if you disclose $450 for the closing fee and $900 for lender's title policy, your total amount is $1,350. Okay, it doesn't really matter how these change dollar-wise. It doesn't really matter because it's looked at by the box. Okay, but the status letter is title work. This is title work. Because the HOA can lien the property and the status letter is a part of the title work, okay? So if you disclose a closing fee of $450 with a lender's title policy of $900 for a total of $1,350, then 10% of that is $135. If you don't disclose a questionnaire or a status letter, I mean, and it's $250, you're automatically out of tolerance. Now, let's say you didn't know. Let's say, perfect example, you're a newer processor, didn't know. Once you are conditioned for a questionnaire, you need to submit a change of circumstance for a questionnaire and a status letter and have the lender redisclose. Now, we've had issues with UWM on this, where they told us because we didn't submit the change of circumstance within 3 days of the condition being added to our approval, that when we ordered it, got the invoice, and submitted the change of circumstance, even though we did that all in the same day, they told us it was a tolerance because we didn't request the change of circumstance within 3 days of that condition being added to our approval. Okay, so as a processor, if you didn't disclose this, or it wasn't disclosed, and you get an approval, come look at this, and you get an approval that says you need a questionnaire, you need to just double up on this and request that both of these get added. Because automatically you're outside of that 10%. Now, working capital and the May and June advanced monthly HOA, these are considered prepaids the same way for us collecting days of interest and homeowners insurance and months of property tax. So these aren't fees, it's the borrower's money collected up front. So these aren't subject to, but if you have a high HOA, like the property that I was talking about, you know, that's an $1,800 difference. Now, Isabel put in there, they want to approve them until they have the invoice. Hey, Belle, that was a one-time experience with UWM. And I would say, if you're a processor and you get an approval and it says that you need a questionnaire and it's not on your loan estimate, you need to push that request through. I've dealt with UWM on this already, and we're going to continue to fight it, but you can then go back to, if you get hit with a tolerance cure, you can go back and say, no, I requested that you change a circumstance, update this. You said no, I'm not curing the tolerance because you said no. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so then do most other, I know it's probably not a very common thing, but for that situation, would another lender approve it without an invoice?
They should. They should. And if I was a processor, I'd fight that battle every day of the week. And then I would say, if you're not going to do it, I need you to send me an email that you're not going to do it till I have an invoice, because last time you guys didn't, when I submitted the invoice, you said that it was a cure because we didn't order it within 3 days of the condition being added to our approval, which I can see both points of it. Okay, we had a change in information in the borrower's file. We knew we needed a questionnaire. Okay, and the rule is once you know there's a change, you got to have 3 days to do that. So I understand what they're saying, but they then came back to us on another file and said, we're not going to do this until you provide us an invoice. And I said, bullshit, you guys just tolerance cured us for $320 last week. because we didn't add the change of circumstance within 3 days of the condition being added to our approval. Okay, so these are a little bit one-off situations, but this is the procedure behind it. Okay, so if you have an attached property, it's not going to, this status letter and questionnaire fee isn't going to be on the lender or on the title's CD that they're issuing to you at the beginning to tell you what the fees are. So just like as a stock, when I'm structuring files, I put in $250 for a status letter and $150 for a questionnaire, because if this is $30 difference, it's not going to be that big of a deal in the 10% bucket here. Okay. So back to CD. Okay. UWM is, I'm just going to touch on UWM really quick. So is the procedure overestimating HOA fees, or is it requesting change of circumstance immediately once we know the actual HOA fees are? Both. So because I've been doing this a while, when I see that a property is attached, the big indicator is when your HO fee is significant. Okay, if you see that your HOA fee is, I mean, I can't blanket statement this because I don't know properties outside of the 3 states that I'm licensed in. But like for me specifically, if the HOA is more than $100, then I know that this is more than a master community association. A master community association is, think of a neighborhood that has a park in it. Every homeowner is going to pay a little bit in a master community association, and the association upkeeps the park. Okay. A lot of times master community associations are $35 a month or like $200 a year. Okay. But if I see on a property that they have an HOA of $150, I'm going to disclose a status letter and questionnaire until that I know that I don't need it. Okay. If you don't disclose it, the file goes to underwriting, your approval comes back, and you have a condition for a questionnaire, submit the change of circumstance for the additional fees. So as a practice, we disclose it up front once we know, if we know before we're submitting it to underwriting, especially if it's a purchase contract, because the purchase contract tells us what kind of property it is. It tells us if there's an HOA or a master association. We disclose that right away, okay? But in the instance, so sometimes what happens is, like, if you have small townhome associations, depending on the county law about how they can be legaled, they're truly physically a townhome, but they're legal to condo. So sometimes real estate agents don't even realize it's a condo and not a single family attached townhome. Okay, that would be a situation where we maybe didn't know up front that it was legal as a condo until we got some of this information back. Okay, so it's not really a cut and dry, but we do our best to try and do these disclosures up front because we don't want to have issues like this for the tolerance cure on the backside. So I'm just going to talk about UWM really quick because it's the easiest. When you are able to issue the CD in UWM, you have the ability to update your fees. So what you would do is, I don't know, I am going to screen share this really quick and do my best to show you how you would do this. Okay, so let's say we can do the fees, okay? Before we issue the CD, we're just going to go to the fees screen. Let me just do this really quick. I'm just going to select I'm just going to, why is there no? Just bear with me a second. Okay, so we're just going to pretend, okay, let's pretend we've cleared all the milestones to issue a CD in UWM, okay? If you miss it, it will automatically go out at the end of the evening. No harm, no foul. You just let the borrower know, hey, this is the issue, this is the CD, it was sent to you. It has not been presented to title yet. We need you to acknowledge that you have received this version. We're going to send a copy to title and they're going to let us know what changes. So it's not your final one, but your signature acknowledges that you've received this initial one. And that's how you overcome people trying to be like, I'm not signing it. It's not my final cash to close. Okay. Now, let's say you've passed all the milestones. You're going to come into UWM specifically, and you're just going to expand all. You're going to pull up the preliminary CD from title, and you're going to go through and you're going to update these. Okay. What was your appraisal fee, right? What was your credit report charge? What is any final inspection? If you have an attorney doc prep fee, if you're in an attorney state, okay? Your HOA or condo fee, your verification of employment fee, if you have the receipt for it, if they had to take a home buyer course, okay? Services they can shop for, what's the closing fee on the CD? Okay, I know I'm going fast here. What's the lender's premium? Do they have any other miscellaneous charges, or did they group it all up into one charge? Okay, so you're gonna update all of these, you're gonna save it, scroll down and save. You're just gonna go through this whole thing and match whatever title sent to you, okay? And then you're gonna issue your CD. Now, I'm gonna categorize the next two examples based on how the lenders do this. Okay, if you put a request in their system, meaning if you put a request in their system, meaning they have a portal on their webpage where you have to request the CD, here are the items that you need to make sure are included with your request. You can bundle these all together in one PDF, but you need to make sure you have your appraisal invoice, your credit report invoice. If you're not sure where to find this, check the last page of your credit report. A lot of times these are already included in the last page of your credit report. Okay, you need the preliminary CD from title, the invoice for the questionnaire. You would have this because you would have had to order it. And the invoice for verification of employment. This is really tricky in the work number.
We can't hear you.
No. Is anybody else not, is everybody not hearing me?
I can't hear you. You're cutting off.
Can we go, let's see. Yeah, Lego, my Wi-Fi is only one bar. So give me 1 second. I'm gonna stop the audio on the phone. Okay, let's try this. It's been a while since we've had issues. How is that one so far?
It's better.
Okay. Okay. What I was saying is the invoice for the verification of employment in the work number is tricky because they're a-holes, and if you have a billing account, they don't give you a separate invoice. So what you want to do is on the screen that you pay this.
Now I'm back. I can't hear you. It's like you're too far away.
But now I'm on my computer audio. Can you hear me if I'm like right here?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. The written DOE invoice can be hard to get because it doesn't always print that in the work number. So when you are going to pay and when you're getting ready to do, like before you click pay, take a screenshot or PDF, print it. Otherwise, if you don't provide an invoice, they're not going to let you collect for it. Okay. So if you're in the lender system, in their portal, and you're requesting documents, or you're requesting a CD that they're going to issue, like you can't click a button and release it, you want to make sure all of these invoice items are included in your request. Okay, anything that you have ordered as a processor or placed the order for. Now, the status letter is not something you're going to have access to. That is something that the title company orders. That's why you have to disclose it, because you won't know until you get to this process where the CD is going back and forth what that is. Okay, so that's why you want to disclose it a little bit high. And yes, we've talked about this in the previous classes. I always over disclose. The more you do this, the more you get a general idea of what these fees are going to be based on your county, city, state. Okay, so you always want to over disclose. What I tell people is, listen, I'm probably off on these by a couple $100, but it's because by law, if I don't give you a good estimate and I under disclose them, I have to pay the difference, and I don't like to do that. So the other thing is because I don't know what they are, I want you to be prepared to bring this money in. And if it comes in less, that's great. You're going to think I did a great job for you. But if I didn't prepare you and I come back and tell you that you need $600 more, you're not going to be very happy with me, or you're not going to think that I did a good job, even though I'm trying to look into a crystal ball and tell you what these things are and I have no idea yet. Okay, like I have a really candid relationship with my clients. And so I just talk to them like that. Like I just tell them, like, I'm doing the best I can. I don't have a crystal ball, and I'd rather you be prepared to bring more money than you need than the other way around. And every single time they're like, oh yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah, thanks for looking out, right? They feel like I'm looking out for them. Okay, so if you're putting a request in the borrower system, 11 Mortgage, Remen, Universal, Plaza, Nations Direct. No, Nations Direct has a form, right? So these are all going to be in the system, okay? And they usually have some sort of portal or a button that you can click to upload these once you're in the page of their website where you can request these. Okay, if you don't find a page, bundle these all together, label them as invoices, and upload them in the documents tab. And then that way you can, if they come back and say, hey, we need your invoices, you can be like, yeah, I wasn't sure, but they're uploaded in the bulk upload section, or they're uploaded wherever. Okay, now the second type is going to be if you have to request a CD with a form. Okay, they have a CD form. Y'all, this is why I hire a processor. My processor's in here, and I'm real sorry. Some of you about to be real mad at me. If you don't watch TikTok, you don't know what I'm talking about, okay? I loathe, with a 4-letter word that begins with F, loathe forms. You're telling me that with the amount of technology we have, that y'all can't figure out what freaking loan, what loan amount, what my lender paid comp is? You want me to fill out a form, right? I already filled out a submission form. Now you want me to fill, it's like a fucking loan form sandwich. We've got a form at the beginning, loan in the middle, form at the end. It drives me insane. I hate it, which is why I have a processor.
Pat yourself on the back, though.
Which is why I have a processor. She does all the shit I hate doing. Okay, so if you're requesting a CD with the form, you want all those same documents. You're going to complete the form. You're going to attach them to the back end of the form. If you have like a PDF, like put her together. So we use Nitro PDF and we just insert it behind the form, okay? But because when you're doing a form, somebody is manually doing this and it gets missed all the time. You're gonna do the form, you're gonna attach the invoices, you're gonna send the email to wherever it needs to be sent. You're gonna attach the form with the invoices, and then you're gonna attach the invoices again for good flip and measure, okay? If you don't do it this way, it's just gonna delay the process, okay? So this is very much a best practice thing. So you wanna include the titles, preliminary CD, all the invoices. Now, if you remember, this is exactly why I've been teaching you. Oh, you can't, This is exactly why I've been teaching you to label your documents. You're about to love me right now. Invoice appraisal. Invoice appraisal. Invoice credit. Invoice questionnaire. Invoice written verification of employment. Because I will tell you that if you don't do it this way, when you go to do your request, you can be looking all up and down your folder at all 537 documents in there trying to find these damn things. Also, why I have a processor. Okay. Travis, you guys search Jackie Dunlap. But I will find you on Facebook and I will send you the link. Actually, hold on. Let's just take care of this right now. Okay. All right, okay. So this is one of the reasons why I really encourage you to have a system of labeling your documents with what the document is, the date, if you need a date, and the description, right? The reason why you insert a date here is think about if you have a bank statement, right? You want these in chronological order. This developed for me putting the date in here when we were doing bank statement loans, you know, way back 2 months ago when we were doing bank statement loans. And if you're doing a 12 or 24 month bank statement loan and you got all these freaking assets in here and they're out of order because they're in alphabetical order, not in chronological order, you learn real quick how to get stuff in chronological order in this labeling system. Okay, so now, if you every lender does this different, okay? Some lenders are just gonna draft the CD and send that shit out and it's gonna be so inaccurate, okay? And everybody's gonna freak out because it's inaccurate, okay? You just have to say, we're starting the CD process. We've sent you the initial copy. It has not been updated yet. I need you to sign that you've received this first copy. We're gonna send it to title because we're not closing until for a week from now. They may not get back to us on this right away, which is why I need you to go ahead and sign this today. Once title has the opportunity to review it and reply back, it's not because they don't care, it's just they have loans that are closing today and tomorrow that they need to deal with before ours that's closing next week. and I don't want the process to be held up because you haven't signed that you've received this. Okay. So what we'll do is this is your copy. We're going to send the exact same copy to title. They're going to let us know what changes. We're going to work with the closer. We're probably going to go back and forth a couple of times before we have your final numbers. Okay. Explain to them what's going on so that they don't think you're trying to pull a fast one on them or a fat one, either way. Okay. So I can't really blanket statement how every lender is going to do this. Listen, as a processor, this is your job. As a loan officer who's processing their own files, it's your job to figure out how the system works because everybody is leaning on us to get it through the system, okay? That's why it's important. Now, if the CD goes out to the borrower and has not been balanced with title yet, shoot an email to the title person, let them know. So what I usually do is, because I don't always know like how the lender sends this information out to the title, or even if they send it to the title person, I take the initial CD down from the file, I attach it to an email to the title company, and I say, hey, I just want to let you know we've issued the preliminary CD to the borrower. Here is a copy. Please provide me your updated CD, and I will get this to the closer to make the changes. Now, it doesn't always work like that. Sometimes you send it like Remin, it doesn't always work like that. But what happens is I can help take the burden from the title company to be in this back and forth all the time with the closer by, once I get assigned a closer, specifically speaking about like Remin system or like Nations Direct system, like once I am able to get assigned a closer, I can shoot them an email and say, hey, here's title's most recent CD that's been updated from the initial CD we sent to the borrower 3 days ago, right? So then what happens is the closer at Remin can update their file before they send another CD to title with the changes that title already did. Hold on a second. Hey, Ryan. Ryan? Some really loud noises coming out of my children's room, and it's COVID, and I just want to make sure everybody's still alive. But I think my husband is actually in the room with said children, so it's all good. Either they all dying or no one's dying in that instance. Okay, so again, just trying to help mitigate the back and forth on these files. Now, I, as a loan officer, I am watching these back and forths. And so even as a broker owner and as a loan officer, I don't always just push it on my processor to balance the CD because the client works with me and it's my responsibility ultimately as the license holder to make sure that those numbers are accurate. So I watch those things go back and forth as a loan officer. But if you are a processor, you also, and you're sending that email to title with the preliminary CD, include your loan officer on it, okay, and send it out. If you're a loan officer processing and or self-balancing, just shoot that preliminary CD over to the title company and say, hey, here's the preliminary title that was issued to the borrower. Please provide me your updated CD. Okay. In UWM system, I don't let the title people, I don't let them play in there, okay? I've had too many issues where they change something because they're like, they wanna put it down in section H and we don't, like, listen, it's not their job to tell us how to do the CD, it's the other way around. So don't be confused. You don't let a title person tell you that something needs to be moved out of a certain box into another box unless it's specifically like on the CD that it needs to go in this box, okay? The most common thing that happens is there is a bundle discount. So the thing you have to realize is title is closing the loan and the real estate, okay? When they close the loan and the real estate, they give a bundle discount. The bundle discount is applied to the lender's title policy. So a lot of times what happens is the title company wants to go in. So like that $900 that we disclosed over here for the lender's title policy, that's the discounted rate. So sometimes what will happen is the title company will be like, oh, no, it's $1,400. And then in line J, we give them a discount, or on page 3, we give them a discount for the $400. And when they do that, it freaking triggers tolerance for us. So I don't let, if it's possible, we don't let title into UWM system. We do that stuff ourselves. We balance, we regenerate a package, we send it to them and we say, hey, do you balance? If they don't, we ask them to send us an updated CD. We go in and adjust the fees. Okay. All right. Verbiage that I want you to understand that's not misleading to a borrower is if you understand that in compliance, the days that we are held to is because the borrower has to receive the documents, okay? So letting them know that we need them to sign the documents because we need them to acknowledge that they have received them. Okay, if there are inaccuracies, that's fine. Send me an email with what you feel the inaccuracies are. I will get with the underwriter or the disclosure department and we will put some revisions in. We will send you an updated one. Regardless, you have to sign that you received this one. Okay, this is how I overcome like my engineers and my attorneys who want to sign everything and don't want to sign anything until it's completely updated. Did I just freeze with my hands on my head? It's freaking amazing. All right. Is my internet connection better now?
Yeah, you just cut out. You were saying that that's how you overcome like your engineers and your brother-in-law.
Yes. Or high-ranking military officials. But that's how we overcome them. But really, that's the process, you guys. That's the process. Even if it's wrong and they choose not to sign, we're going to go back in, we're going to revise it and send them another one, right? But the importance of, like, especially the CD is that 3-day wait period. So what we let them know is it's a process. It goes back and forth a little bit. I'm not the title company, so I can't verify that their fees are correct. But what I do need you to do is acknowledge that you've received this initial copy. You'll get another one. You'll get another one once title lets us know what they need updated. If you panic, they panic. If you're uncertain, they're uncertain that they want to sign it. And just be honest, it's a process. Hey, we're sending this out to you right now with the information we have. I need you to acknowledge that you've received it. We haven't sent a copy of this over to title yet, so we don't know what revisions they want us to make. Once they let us know, we'll send you an updated copy. But I do need you to sign that you've received this copy. Make sense? Okay, so we have about 5, maybe 10 minutes where I can answer questions about anything we've talked about today or anything leading up to this process or issues you've had or any other questions about the CD process, the early CD. Y'all are scaring me now. Now I don't know if you can actually hear me because nobody's saying anything.
So I guess one question that I would have, and I think kind of I ran into it with you before, isn't there a place, like if you know Land Title is going to be your title company, isn't there a place on their website where you can go get, like, when you're doing your initial disclosure, you're putting in your fees, where you can see what the fees might be, like for closing, the closing policy and stuff like that, and then you can use that to guide you? I just want to make sure that that was a real memory that I had.
Yes, it was in one of the training classes. So
okay, perfect.
The issue still is going to be that even in an estimate like that, they're not going to know what the status letter is. A lot of times when you're putting those in, you're only saying maybe what the property type is and not necessarily an address. So there's still that questionnaire and status letter stuff is still not going to show up even on that estimate. It
Gotcha.
will, however, guide you as far as like the closing fee and the lender's title policy. It will guide you in those places. And listen, when I'm really, like, even right now, like if I'm really uncertain, like I don't do loans every day in Texas. I do it because we have family in Texas. So sometimes I get really nervous about what I'm disclosing. I will disclose the full rate, not the bundled discount rate. And what I let the borrower know is, listen, this is the full rate. A lot of times they offer a discount on this number right here. once we get the title work order back, I'll know what that discount is and we'll get that updated for you. But for right now, this is what the cost is. And then once we get a little further into the process and get more information from title, once I know for certain, I'll make sure to point it out to you where you can see that discount.
Yes, gotcha.
Okay, because we're the quote back to us is only as good as the information that we're putting in. And so the issue that we had on the tolerance cure that we had in the last couple of weeks is that everything said that this was a townhome and a single family residence. Turns out not even the real estate agent knew that it was a condo. It was labeled as a condo. And that's where we got stuck in this pickle because it looked like a townhome. They had to carry insurance like it was a single family residence. I mean, it was kind of a weird thing. And it doesn't happen every time, but it's still a learning experience. And this is how you're going to learn in this industry. Like I've shared before, like interviewing for a processing job, and the lead processor was like, what's the biggest mistake you've ever made processing a loan? And I was like, well, you only forget to disclose owner's title policy once, right? So $600, and that's the services they can't shop for, and that shit's penny for penny. You pay the difference penny for penny on that. Your credit report is penny for penny. So if you disclose that your credit report is $34 and it was $37, you're going to get a tolerance cure for $3. So to answer, I think it was, let's see, whose question was this? It was John's question earlier. So is the procedure overestimating? Yeah, not unless you got some spare change you want to be putting out on every deal. Okay, so like I know that my credit reports are for a joint merge credit is like $34. I quote 40. When I'm in funding suite, I never know because they nickel and dime us for every little thing. We get charged $1.15 every time the file is ran through DU. So on those ones, on a merge credit, I quote $80. And normally they come in anywhere between 60 and 75.
Gotcha.
Okay. Isabel, you doing all right? You look perplexed.
No, I'm good. I'm trying to think if I have any questions or like, of course, like as soon as we hang up, I'm going to be calling you with like a bunch of questions.
That's fine. That's fine.
She's the only one brave enough to show her quarantine beautiful face.
Everybody else is blacked out up here.
Jackie can't see anybody else.
Well, that's why I get all nervous. There's no fucking pictures and everybody's mute is on and I'm like, can anybody hear me? Am I just talking?
There's usually a reason for that.
You don't want to see me right now.
Well, bless your faces, because y'all are the only reason 4 days a week I get up and put any makeup on. Mondays, I'm a hot mess. I'm in my leggings. I got my weekend bun hair. My husband's over here laughing because he knows Monday I'm a rolling dumpster fire up in here. Tuesday through Friday, I got my hair's did, my makeup's on. I
can only do a few things at a time, and like homeschooling and learning and focusing and wrangling the dogs and all of that leaves not a lot of time right this second for hair and makeup.
Feel that. I feel that. I feel that.
I
right?
see.
Okay, guys. Well, so if there's no other questions, we'll go ahead and disconnect. And then, so on Friday, we'll go ahead and dive into income calculations. I think earlier this week we talked about. I jumped into a little bit of a tangent on averaging income and why like it can kill a deal and if you don't know how to overcome it, right? So we'll jump into some of the different income types. And then pretty much after that, we'll jump into some scenarios that there's going to be a class on appraisal revisions, okay? How to even begin to attack when you have an appraisal that comes in on low value. And this has been something like a lot of people in the broker community are asking for it. And I'm just going to teach you guys about it. I had the privilege of a real estate agent actually helping me really fine tune this process about 2 years ago. And ever since then, we have had tremendous success in rebutting value on appraisals. And so I want to share that nugget of information with in this space of training and recording these videos.
I have a question.
Yes.
So on Friday, when you're going to talk about the income and the calculations and all that, does that also include LTV, WLTV and all that? Will that be included too? That's one thing I'm kind of really having a hard time with.
I can add it. It really is. So that is not
Fine.
income related.
Okay.
So LTV is not income related. LTV is loan amount and value related.
Right. I knew that, and I didn't really want to ask that because it sounded really a confusing question, but
No, it's not, because there are three different ways to calculate loan to value. So I will hit on that first. I think we can cover it really quick, like within the first 15 minutes or so, and then we'll jump into income.
Yeah. Oh, and then the debt to income ratios, will that be included also?
Yeah, we can. Yeah.
That would be awesome. Thanks so much.
Yep. Okay, guys, have a great week. If you think of something, you can just respond. I think if you email me through the registration link, I think that's how people are doing it. It just comes right into my email and I see those. So I can respond to you pretty quickly, okay?
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Can you hang on for a second?
Yep.
Okay.
Oh. I don't remember if it was a charge or a credit, but I did see something today. Okay. Can't see who all I have on still. Hold on.
I'm still here. I just was trying to see another shot of that cute baby.
Oh yeah, you can stay on. That's why I'm staying on.
Okay, good.
That's okay. Yeah.
When I came on at the beginning, I was like, oh, I couldn't turn my microphone on fast enough to be like, there he is. Hi, buddy.
So his package came in a little early today.
Oh, it did.
A baby Jill.
A little bit
So
bigger.
yeah, it's huge.
Sit down.
Here, TJ.
He's very mean right now
Say
because
hi.
he did not take his nap.
I wish I knew that you needed that, Tyler. I have one.
Oh really?
Yeah, I do have one. I've got some blocks that I should bring over for you guys that, like, Jackie, do you remember those blocks that we like shared between the kids sometimes with that they could like roll on and stuff? I've got some on Amazon. I'll send you a picture.
Hi,
There's a
Bubba.
baby.
Hi, Bubba.
Hi.
Yeah.
Hi.
Look at him. Look at him.
Hi, Phyllis.
Does he like it, or is he mad that he's trapped?
He likes it. He likes this way more than his regular pack.
I think he likes it more than his pack
I
and
think
play.
because he can move. He's so big, the pack and play is like too small for him. So that's
Yeah,
what he thinks.
he's officially no longer in anything other than 2T.
Size 5 diaper.
Yeah, 2T, size 5 diapers.